And welcome, guys, to the second episode of CptsLogs, brought to you by Richard Tulo here, the Jamaican Bacon. And
You gotta put some emphasis on the bacon.
Jamaican Bacon.
Yeah,
How's that?
that's better.
And Mark Nowak. The jack of all trades, the master of none.
I thought you were gonna say the sausage thing. I was like, oh, there we go.
Apply heading 230, runway 27 left. Clear for takeoff. Turn right heading 060. Descend and maintain 5,000.
All right. So we're talking about Florida.
Talking about Florida.
So
Shit.
Florida is a service state. You know what that means? At least I think that's what they call it. It means that everything depends on fucking. I'm not gonna cuss. I'm gonna cut that out. Everything depends on like service, customer service. Like, what are the jobs there? Like when they move to Florida, like what can you do? You know, like what are the main? I think the main thing that people do there is like tourist stuff,
Yeah.
restaurants. So if you move there, maybe you can do IT, I guess.
Well, no, I'm going to move there when I'm flying.
Oh, okay.
So if I were to do full-time instructor, I'd go down to like Vero Beach or something and get a flight instructing gig, or go to flight safety or something like that.
Yeah. My first CFI interview was out of Florida, some school that trained with Sirius's. Didn't get the job.
Well, maybe you could get it now. You've got some serious experience.
Yeah. Well, it was it's actually pretty interesting. It was a phone interview, and they were interviewing people from all over the state or the country or whatever. And they called me. I remember I was fresh out of CFI school with ATP, and I couldn't freaking find a job.
Wait, you didn't do your CFI at UND?
Well, after my double I, MEI. Oh, no. You're right. That's actually correction. That's right. That's what it was. I was fresh out of CFI with UND, and I couldn't find a job.
With just CFI?
With just a regular CFI, yeah. So that's exactly what it was. And I applied everywhere, even UND. And I remember giving my resume to Rex, and Rex was like, Richard, there's a bunch of freaking errors in here. It's a bunch of freaking. You need to go review this, Richard. You need to go freaking spell check this shit.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I can see Rex doing that. He's not a.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't bite his tongue.
Oh dude, yeah. He's like, you need to go spell check this real quick and come back. And but he took it. He's like, yeah, I'll look it over. If anything opens up, I'll give you a call. And but I applied everywhere. I went all over the freaking state and drove and dropped a bunch of applications and resumes and whatnot. And I was applying online this school in Florida. I forgot what their name was. Aviation, something like that. I think it was Aviation.
No, Aerosim's Tito's place in Glendale.
It is. It's the same. It was the same name. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why I remember. I know.
Free plug, Tito.
Yeah. And we'll definitely plug people as well on this, But they call me up. They send me an email. Says you get an interview. It's a phone interview. It's the time and whatnot. And I was just fresh out of CFI, and I did my instrument a couple months back. My multi maybe a few months before that. After that, whatever. So I had nothing. I had no idea about when it comes to like instrument stuff. Like I had nothing. I knew nothing about it. And the entire interview
was about instruments.
It was about instrument. It was what was it? I forgot some of the questions you were asking, but I was like, oh, God. And I was like, I remember saying, God, man, it's been a while since I've done some instruments. I said that to them. And they're like, okay, well, thank you. We'll let you know. Know.
Well, especially if it was in Florida, I'm sure they.
Which makes sense.
And I also think UND, I can't imagine that I'm hiring a CFI without a double I at least.
Yeah.
Because I know they do the MEI portion 61, but the double I and the I are both, I believe, 141.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
I don't know now. I mean, that'd be the first place I'd apply when I'm done, but I wouldn't expect anything until I get the double I.
Cool.
But yeah, we've got some topics today we're actually going to talk to instead of just going off the cuff. Some FAA news and new policies that are coming out for passengers. I don't know if we were planning on talking about some of the hiring that were going on. Are starting to come back a little bit. Some classes that are going to be recalled. But we'll have to see if we get to that. But Richard, how say you? What's going on?
I'm great. Head back out on the road tomorrow.
Yeah? You can't tell us where you're going, though.
No, unfortunately.
You're like 007 of the skies.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think I can say when I'm there, I think. Well, technically, I think I can say because the podcast is not live. So I can say I'm going to... I just can't say where I'm at the exact same time when I'm there.
What we can do is we can keep people in suspense. You can tell me where you're going and then bleep it out in post.
I'm going to...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's going to China, folks. No, I'm just kidding.
Good, man. How's your flying going?
I don't know. I'll let you know when I fly. It's been a while.
When was the last time you flew?
My single engine ride.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I did my single engine add-on back in November. I mean, I've flown with you.
Oh,
okay. I've flown with Steve.
Oh, okay. Good.
I haven't been up on the Archer in the left seat.
Go up, man. Don't go up. I went up again in the Cirrus.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you about that.
It was just a simple flight, just like an hour and a half, nothing really big.
By yourself?
Yeah. I realized
Don't you hate flying by yourself? I don't like flying by myself.
What? Why?
I feel better. Mainly, I feel better having another set of eyes on traffic out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just more fun. I feel safer, I guess, in a nutshell, having somebody else there, another set of eyes, and then just someone to talk to. Like, I'd like to share aviation.
Well, I fly with people that are non-aviation people, so their eyes are really useless.
Well, yeah, same here, but I could still have them scan for traffic outside and whatnot.
Yeah.
Or even when ATC makes that call real quick and you weren't really paying attention, you can at least look over and be like, did he say such and such? And typically they can help out.
Yeah. I scan for traffic. I'm a firm believer. I don't know if I believe in this see and avoid. I do believe in avoid.
Yes.
But I don't know if I really believe in this see and avoid concept. You can't see planes out there, man. In my opinion. That's my opinion, by the way. As a disclaimer. But that's why I like the Cirrus, because I can use that system, as much as I can to look for traffic.
Yeah, that's got to be for reference use only. You can't rely on it. Per the FAA, if you're VFR, right? It's see and avoid.
Oh, really? So how do you see when you're for VFR, you said?
For VFR, yeah.
For VMC?
Everything inside the cockpit is for reference. You know, other than your gauges, right? You're flying.
It's for reference?
Your 6-pack. But yeah, I mean, your GPS, your
it's for
your
reference?
nav aids, you're supposed to be, see
Dead
and avoid for traffic. Yeah, piloting, dead reckoning.
I mean,
it's there to point. I mean, obviously, they want you to use the GPS and whatnot. Otherwise, they wouldn't check you on it on the ride. But
the GPS?
Yeah, and your nav aids, such things like that. But
it just depends on the plane you're flying. If you're flying a plane that's, or if you're flying the old ass DPE, it's not modern today. The check ride might be that way, but
well, it hasn't changed much. It's
in today's world, that system is there for you to use as much as possible, not to reference it, to use it as an instrument.
Yeah, I think a DP for a private pilot, I think would stay the focus on VFR, which would be including see and avoid. But I don't know. We'll find out.
Not if you're flying a Cirrus. Not if you're flying a Vision Jet, which is basically a big ass SR-22. It's just not how you fly the plane. It just depends on what you're flying. This is how you're taught. If you're flying an Archer with this built-in 19 freaking, I get it. Those old concept of those GPS were attached to it. The aircraft wasn't built with a GPS. It was installed into it. I get that concept. But in today's world, aircraft is equipped with that stuff. You're expected to know how to use it and use it.
Yeah, but what happens if you get an airplane that's, let's say you're out, you went, where'd you go last?
I
Payson?
just flew over. Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, we can say,
All right,
we can
so
say
let's
that.
say you're flying over at Payson. No one's
Mhm.
talking on the radios.
Mm-hmm.
You're not looking out the windows. You're just looking at your screens, looking for traffic.
Yeah.
There's a guy flying around. He doesn't have ADSB out. How are you gonna know he's there?
You're required to have it.
No, you're not. Not out there.
Not on Payson?
Only near Class Bravo.
Is that
If
what the
you're
rule
under
is?
the ring, yeah, it's kind of like the transponder thing. So
Mm.
you need it if you're under the veil. But
Well, I'm not saying you're not supposed to.
if you're out in no man's land, where
Yeah.
back out where they don't even have to talk on the radio, you get that crazy drunk bush pilot.
Yeah. Yeah.
He took out your $900,000 airplane.
Yeah. No, I get what
you
you're saying.
never saw it coming.
So what is the thing in the ADSB? I probably should look that up. I mean, I don't fly in the the GA stuff as much as to learn that stuff, but I mean, I fly instrument, so that shit you have to. It's not a reference.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's different.
Yeah. So what is
Well,
the
and then
thing?
you rely on ETC as well to give you traffic alerts.
Yeah. But what's the? Do you have an idea what the ADSB stuff is? What's the rule on that? How does that work? Like, what's the rule?
The rule?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's the veil. So, like the same as you need the mode C transponder to be, 20, 30 nautical miles from a Class Bravo. It's the same with the ADSB out. So we couldn't take off from any airport around here without ADSB out legally. Same as
okay.
the transponder. But once you're out in no man's land, it's the Wild West out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, for some reason, I thought that, but again,
And I would hope nowadays that most people have it because I think most people rely on it the same way as you have been. And honestly, I do. I mean, I'm always looking for. I look for traffic on the Jeep on the iPad in my case, and then I try to I'm not satisfied until I see it with my own eyes too.
it says, I see, when do I have to equip for the ADSB out? The requirements for ADSB equipage. Ooh. I see. As of January 1st, 2020, ADSB out equipment is required to operate in the airspace defined. Well, give me a break. 91225. What is that? I hate when they do that.
So I want you to go look up the airspace.
This is a pain in the ass. Just tell me what it is. 91225. So I guess, okay. Well, okay. All right. I'm not going to look
You're
it
gonna
up.
stop there.
Well, I'm going to say, what's 91225? Let's read it.
What is it? 91.
225. There it is. Let's see. 91225. Let's see. Automatic dependent surveillance broadcast out equipment in use. After January 1st, 2020, and unless otherwise notarized by ATC, no person may operate an aircraft in Class A airspace unless the aircraft is equipped and installed that meets all this. After January 20th, unless otherwise authorized ATC, no person may operate aircraft below 18,000 feet and an airspace described in paragraph D. So paragraph D, B, C, D. Above the ceiling, yeah. Yep, that's what it is.
All right, so I was close.
You're right. Yeah, well, you're right.
'Cause it
Though.
includes the C and the D.
The D, yeah, but pacing is what is that? That's an echo, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't really, so you don't need it out there.
Nope.
Gotcha.
And there's Richard flying around with his head down.
I mean, I look outside, but ADSB. So my aircraft has ADSB out and in, right?
Yeah, I would imagine so.
So I mean,
Well, it has to now.
yeah,
You wouldn't be able to leave Scottsdale legally
Yeah.
without it.
yeah. So I still will be able to see them on my equipment. They just can't see me, right?
No, opposite. If they don't have ADSB out, you can't see them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not broadcasting where they are, but you will be broadcasting where
Where
you
you
are.
are.
So if they have the iPad or whatever, they can see you, but you can't see them.
Wow. Gotcha.
But I think out here, mainly with all the schools, I'm confident all the schools have the ADSB out. So that's the biggie. It's definitely a lot different than it was when we were in private pilot. And really all you had was your eyeballs, and that was kind of scary.
Yeah,
It
because
was a little
bullshit,
sketchy.
It's a bullshit system, I think. I mean, what I do, I'll see I'll pick it up on my screen and I'll look for it outside. That's kind of the thing. That's normal for people like me that fly IFR or instrument. That's like kind of the more normal method.
Well, that's what I do as well.
You know, but I mean, I look outside as well, but especially around here, man, there's so much shit going on. You know, I flew down to Wickenburg to pick up one of my mentor, and I mean, there's so much traffic in that area. Yeah, and then I'm looking at the screen, you know, all this traffic, and I look outside and I can't see them. And it's like, I don't know, dude. Sketch to me.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, good to know.
Yeah. So there's your lesson of the day.
Yeah.
All right. So we I know Captain's Log is kind of reaching out a bit. You have your blog, right, /vlog, really, right?
Damn right.
A magazine, I believe, that's going to be coming out. Obviously, the podcast. But what nobody's going to know about us is we were once involved in the on-demand aircraft business, and I don't want to get into that. I know you don't want to get into that, but we're going to be dabbling in it once again a little bit.
Yeah.
With something you had started a while ago and just kind of put on hold for your career, but looking at bringing back drone racing into our valley and making it big. What are your thoughts on that?
Anyway, check out you brought up the blog and the vlog. When you guys get some chance, check that out. Like I said, I'll be doing some more campaigns to get that up pretty soon. Captain's Log vlog on the YouTube channel. There's blogs I do on the website, www.captainslog.com. CaptainsLogs with an S at the end.com. Everything's on that website. You can find everything everywhere clickable. I'll take you to where you need to go on that website. But yeah, so talking about the drone racing. So yeah, we did back in the days when we had to. We were involved in the unmanned aircraft system. Is that what it was called? UAS, unmanned aircraft.
UAS.
Yeah, UAS.
That's what I was trying to think when I was.
SUAS, small unmanned aircraft system. And we were one of the first people that actually got involved in that. Where we're doing.
Indeed.
Yeah, we were doing aerial photography and videography and whatnot using drones. Prior to the FAA Part 107 rule, we were pre 107 doing that stuff. So the drone racing thing came up. Obviously, you got those two large drone racing companies that are out there. So we'll be working on that pretty soon. I don't want to give too much away because those guys, the last time I brought this up, they actually called me, those companies.
Really?
Yeah. And started freaking interrogating me.
Okay. Did you tell them who you were? Do you know who I am?
Yeah, man. It was interesting. Like it was as if I felt like a politician here for a second, or maybe I wasn't a politician. It was like the CIA calling me.
Richard, we know what you've been up to.
Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah, man. You got to the point.
We know where you live. We know where your family lives.
But I just want to say, keep an eye out on that Captain's Log, the drone racing league and whatnot. The title of the league will be advertised next coming weeks with a large promotion and whatnot, and the outline of the drone racing and what it's about and so forth will be also outlined in the next coming week. So just be ready for that. Exciting stuff, you know.
And we can bring in some of the people that we're going to talk to about that and work with. Maybe we can have them in and.
Oh, the people that are going to be working on the drone racing?
Yeah, some of the guys that we've talked to in the past. Maybe have them come in and help out a little bit, share some wisdom.
What is with the drone race? What is with that community, though?
I don't know anything about it.
It's like right now I'm going in there and it's like penetrating a fucking. It's like there's a culture there.
Yeah, well.
It's an interesting culture.
Anything aviation is like culture, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's true. But the drone racing, how do you call them? The drone racing community. Oh, that's a good way. Good job, Richard. Very, very politically correct. The drone racing community are very proud and very like they take ownage of the entire community. So if, for example, you come in and start doing something that they're not used to, they'll look at you like, what the hell you think you're doing? Even though this is America. But the drone racing system I'm building is going to be built for the audience and the fans and so forth. So it's going to be good overall. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, man.
So what other talking to guests? I know one of our big goals here for the podcast to keep everybody entertained and educated is to have several people on over the next, life of the show. And I know we've been lining some interesting people up that I think a lot of people are going to want to hear from. And maybe we could speak on that a bit.
Yeah, well, we're going to create like a basic path of, getting into, aviation is broad, obviously. When we talk about aviation, it's not just airline pilots, but it's also traveling, vacation, hotels, airport, hotels. Did I say hotel already?
Yeah, but you meant like hotels, and then there's airport hotels.
Oh, yeah, I guess. But with that being said, we're going to create like a linear path of, specific topics. How do you get your pilot certification from the beginning all the way to, being a flight engineer?
Yeah, I wish that still existed. 'Cause then we'd all get jobs a little sooner if there actually was still a flight engineer.
Yeah,
Where were you, unions? You let us down.
Yeah. But I'll have, people who are currently individuals who are currently student pilots, currently in the business right now, are currently working on their initial certification, your private pilot certification, and they're working towards, whatever, the airline. The aviation and the airline itself industry is very diverse, so there's lots of different options that we can be bringing up in different areas you can get into. So that's one. We're going to have a student pilot here kind of talking about his experience, and hopefully we can track him all the way up until his,
Up until he's defeated and looks at all the money he spent, and he's so far away from getting any job ever.
Yeah.
We'll follow him through that journey.
With that attitude, man. God damn.
I'm sorry, just to pause for a second. That's how I felt throughout getting all my training. You're so excited. You get your private pilot's license. You're like, what can I do? Nothing.
Absolutely nothing, my
Because
friend.
really, after you're private, generally, at least for me, I was broke as shit. I couldn't fly anyways.
Yeah, you can't even, yeah.
So then, you go, you get your instrument, and you're like, yes, my instrument. And like a week later, you're like, what can I do? Nothing.
Nothing, my friend.
Then you go get your multi-commercial, and you're like, oh, man, I can fly a multi-engine and I'm commercial. What can I do? Nothing. Single engine add-on. Woo! Done. Got everything but ATP. When can I take that fucker? 800 hours from now. What can I do in the meantime? Nothing. But other than that, it's pure joy.
Mark is so optimistic.
Well, I'm still on the nothing stage.
So positive.
And when you start reflecting on the bills,
Go get your CFI, man.
no, that's what we're doing.
Get
we're
in there,
starting
man.
for the FLY right now. So
Yeah, because that gives, like I said, that gives you more. That's really the first time that you really have options in the like as a job in aviation.
and then you'd be like Richard in the beginning of the show. I went and applied everywhere, and no one called me. Nothing.
That's another thing. Well, that's another thing too, because it's weird how this industry. Because you go in, you go in as a CFI, right? Because you just mentioned that, right? You said, hey, I got my private pilot, my my instrument, my commercial multi, all that stuff, And then they go, okay, I got my instrument, my CFI,
Right.
And they're like, you're not hireable. You need to get a double I. And
You
then
gotta get a double A.
and then you realize, God damn, it's just the way it is, man.
But that would be fun to follow him through that. And hopefully, actually, the timing could be good for him because I kind of got caught at that stage. I was getting my single engine add-on while we were in the thick of COVID. So I already knew, I was watching the aviation industry take a dump right there in front of me.
Yeah.
That's what you do, and that's what it was like in 2009 when we were both doing our private.
Yeah.
The aviation industry was garbage.
When we were doing it, it was garbage. Yeah.
So I'm kind of used to it already. It's funny
Yeah.
watching all these other guys that are in my boat that are just, hey man, 250 hours, just got my wet commercial. Any ideas? Yeah. go get a job. It ain't gonna be flying. Like I hate seeing that shit and then watching these people freak out because oh man, there's no jobs. There's everything's the furloughs and layoffs. It's like yeah, this is how it goes.
Yeah.
Like if this isn't what you were expecting, you signed up for the wrong industry. But anyways, where I was going with that is
that's more. Go ahead.
the student pilot will be. He should it works out good. Like by the time that he's up through CFI, whatever, hopefully things will be turning around. So like at least he can sort of take his time.
Yeah,
Whereas
but
I think for us,
the thing about I'll say this is my talking about because they've unfortunately it's one of these industry. Aviation is one of these industry where everybody has their own opinion on the industry because it all depends on where you are in the industry. There are people right now that are making millions basically.
well, yeah, but they're already established. I mean, I'm talking about the regional pilots that have no seniority. You know, the airline pilots that moved on to the majors have no seniority. The CFIs, the guys who got called into class and never got called again after COVID. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, you've got to be willing and you've got to understand, no matter how booming it is, like it was a year and a half ago, you have to know that, like you said before, you just sneeze in the wrong direction and the aviation industry feels it and just dumps everything.
Yeah, it's a
and
very...
you start right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is like you get stuck in that time frame of where you are at. You have to expect that at any time things could be great, and the next day it could be absolute shit. And you better have a backup plan.
Yeah, that's a good point. So it's a very volatile industry. Aviation, the airline specifically, because everything affects it. Weather, wind, the stock market, a pandemic, a war. There's a war. I mean, it's affected by every single thing that happens. It's such a volatile system, or what's another word? It's such a very vulnerable system, I should say. Yeah,
Vulnerable.
Yeah, where anything and everything affects it. So you have to understand that. The thing about talking about being a pilot, again, trying to become an airline pilot or any kind of pilot is, unfortunately, it's not one of those industry where you can sit on and slowly work towards it.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah, you have to. If it's something you're gonna go and get into, you got to jump into it and get it done because everything's based on timing. Where you are in that industry, how much money you make, your seniority, all that stuff. Everything depends on seniority in the airline industry, even in the aviation industry. So,
well, it even goes beyond that too. I mean, like I had to go slow. Like every certificate of mine, pretty much, has been drawn out over.
Yeah.
Shit, almost 10 years. I mean, but that wasn't by choice. That was by money. I mean, this stuff ain't cheap.
Absolutely.
When I started instrument, I had to go and get that $25,000 loan, and that got me through instrument and a portion of multi-engine.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you don't have a choice, but if you do have the choice, not only is it timing, you got to get your name in the hat and you got to start building your seniority, but the longer it's like your training matches how long you stretch it out.
Mm-hmm.
So what I mean by that is the longer it takes for you to, let's just say you're working on instrument and you're only flying once a week, you're stretching it out so you can only forward once a week. You're going to be repeating lessons a hell of a lot more than you would be if you were going 3 or 4 times a week.
Yep.
So in the long run, you're if you stretch it out, you're going to be... but if you stay on top of it and you're flying every day and it's boom, 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 get it done, you're going to get way more bang for your buck because you're always proficient and you're always going up, learning something new and never going back and repeating it. Same as if you play piano, If you don't if you just go to your lesson that week and you don't go home to practice, your next lesson, you're doing the same lesson.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you practice and you mastered it, then you move on to the next lesson.
Wow.
The same with aviation, only now it's $180 an hour. So you don't want to repeat that lesson.
And it's the exact same thing all the way up to the airline. It's the same process all the way up. They teach you one thing, you go back either you go study it and be prepared, or you repeat it. Except in the airline, when you get to the airline, you can that's it. And it's a job, so you can only repeat it so much. But we'll get back to that.
Yeah,
We'll,
like, hey, I'm gonna go
yeah.
look for another flight instructing job.
we'll get back to that. We'll get back to like the requirements of airline training. We'll talk about that too. That's some fascinating stuff.
Well, I mean, hey, it's been a long road.
It's funny because there are people out there who there's some people out there where like their parents pay for their shit.
Oh, dude,
Hold on, let me get to it.
Fuck those people, man.
And then they start from private pilots and they're all the way up, and then they get done with everything within like 6 months. or whatever.
I was a captain at American by 25 years old. Yeah, you son of a bitch.
There's a guy right now at by the way, the company I work for, they had the youngest 777 captain in the world.
I don't want to hear about it.
I think he was like 20.
Oh, shut the hell up.
Yeah, but at that time he was the youngest 777 captain in the world.
Yeah, well, I was one of the first people to ride on a 777 as an airline passenger.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I got that going for me.
But there are those people that mommy and daddy pays for all that stuff. But I don't care. I'm not against it.
No, I would have taken it. No,
Yeah,
Peter, you kidding me?
But those guys, all that stuff you're saying, they are like, what are you talking about? I mean, I got an interview. I got hired the next day.
Yeah.
I don't know, what are you talking about? But
Well, everybody's road's a little different. I think the majority of us feel it in some aspect, especially if you didn't earn it by doing the VA thing. You guys earn that crap by putting in your service to the country, and that's awesome. And I'm glad they're making that a little easier for the vets to be able to use that for aviation training. But for the straight up non-military white boy like myself, who's broke, if you guys want to touch on that one day and send us an email or whatever, and I feel your pain, and I can help you there. So Richard, actually, we got our private pilots about the same time at UND, and he was able to keep going. I had to stop. In fact, I stopped between
what's UND?
University of North Dakota.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to give them a plug. No, they're a good school. I'm actually proud I went there. And I'm proud I got my private license there.
Twice I got interviewed for an airline. Twice I was asked about UND, University of North Dakota, in my interview. So
that's what I'm banking on.
That said something there.
But so I'm definitely moved a little bit slower. Had to go another route, so I basically got another career going, and that's what I do now. But still slowly chipping away at the airline industry.
It's funny
so
because
I can talk about the hardships of coming up, but since Richard flew by, he's been in a couple of airlines and can kind of speak about at least what it was like then with the interview. I don't know what it was like when you were
let me get back,
because it wasn't really the.
Let me get back to that, but I wanted to get to you mentioned the GI Bill stuff. When I started, dude, you mentioned that they make it easier for the veterans or whatever. I had to pay for my private pilot myself out of my own pocket back when I started, man.
It's still like that.
Is this like that?
Mm-hmm.
No, but yeah, because I think when maybe it is now. I'm not sure, so I can't really. But I'm going to talk about what I know. So when I initially did it, so I had to pay for my private pilot myself, and around 10 grand out of my pocket, bloop bloop bloop, right there, flop.
Yeah, I think mine was like 11 grand.
So that was and the VA's their mindset was that to make sure that you're serious about. I'm not sure what their mindset was or what their thought process was, but it was rumored that they want to make sure that you're serious about the training before they committed.
It only makes sense.
In paying for it. So they want you to pay for the private pilot yourself before they start paying for anything else. And then back then, when I initially started, was pre 9/11. No, what the hell am I talking? Yeah, it was post 9/11, post the war, when the war began, but they hadn't implemented a new post 9/11 bill yet.
Right.
It was just a regular GI Bill.
Right.
So now it was just based on how much time you've served. So it was. You got to pay for your private pilot, plus a percentage of based on some accumulative time of what you've served, which could be 20, 30, 40, 50% based on what you are. If you were National Guard or reserve or active duty
That
and
makes
whatnot.
sense too.
Yeah, yep. But then after 9/11, they had the post 9/11. That was a regular GI Bill. Then you had the post 9/11 that came right after. Then it was just 100%. And then it was there's a point where they weren't. How were they doing it? They weren't paying for the. There's a regular GI Bill that will pay for the ground school, but you had to like submit for the flight training stuff. It was very complicated. And then it got to a point where it was like, okay, we'll just pay for everything, 100%.
Yeah.
Full. And guys were coming in, and it was ridiculous. Guys were coming in, and I remember once this guy came in at UND. Hopefully I can say that. 100%. And he started a couple training or whatever, did a couple flights, and he was like, I guess this is not for me. He just left. And that was it. But there was no, like, if you decided to quit, there was no, okay, you got to refund that money.
I know, and it should be. But anyways,
Might have to.
we definitely need to get into. I'd like to get somebody else in here though that's been more recent with that VA stuff, because I know there's a lot of questions about it. It's very confusing still, from what I can understand. I don't know if it's as confusing as back in your day, but there's still all those loopholes they have to jump through, and it's very unclear. And it seems like a lot of these flight schools, if you don't go to a university, like if you go to a university that has what's called a flight training affiliate, so you go to Joe Schmo College, but they have a flight affiliate program with West Wind Aeronautics or Aero Guard out of Deer Valley. They're flying 141 under the certificate of that college. So the program is written by that college. They have to follow it, but they don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
and that's what I found. So they leave these VA guys and even just 141 college guys, that these instructors and quote unquote chief pilots, chief instructors don't know crap about how it works. And so
VA
the more
don't,
people we can get in to help people out with that, I think is going to be huge for this podcast. And I'd really like to help people out with that.
The VA don't care. It's and it's written by obviously the government, but it's 141. It has to be 141 school. That's all they care.
Right,
They
but
don't
then
ca-
you
they don't-
still have to jump through the 141 loopholes though, and deal with here's what you need to do for the VA to get paid for this or to get paid for that.
It depends on the school system, because at UND, if the school have to do that, it's their system that's broken. At UND, the Part 141 was going through the the community college. You pay for school before you start the program. You don't fly and then submit it to the VA. You get an entire lump sum of funds at once. If there's a school that's getting submitting for a VA payment or whatever, their system is broken, and they're probably, like you're saying, working through the loophole.
Well, I don't even know if that.
You're a school that does
exists.
that, though.
No, and that's how it worked for me for my instrument commercial.
Yeah.
I did the flight affiliate thing and went to a university. Yeah, and everything was it was a lab fee. I paid the university a lab fee, and they paid the flight school.
I think that's what it was too. At where they were at the community college with you, it was a lab fee, but the VA paid for everything, 100% of all fees. Yeah, it was like a little lab.
But there's still a lot of questions. I see a lot of questions.
I agree, man.
And I'll just go ahead and say it now. Like, do we have a place where people can go to get in contact with us?
For this podcast?
Yeah.
Just look at on the website, you have the Captain's Log podcast section. You can click and get information. You have the Captain's Log YouTube channel. Get the Captain's Log Instagram. All that stuff's gonna have information where to submit. We're not gonna put our phone number. Maybe we can put her out. I don't know. That's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, do like an email or something. Because I wouldn't mind answering some questions. And
the best way to answer a question is in the social media. Is what they're putting up on the social media, not by.
there you go. So we'll.
Yeah.
So you have questions. Anyways, I'll go ahead and share what. So I went to Aero Guard for my instrument, my multi-engine. So I did my private pilot at UND, and then I transferred over later to Liberty University, and then my flight training affiliate was Aero Guard. And I'll tell you, nobody at Aero Guard at the time knew how the Liberty program worked. So I had to teach the instructors. I'm sorry. Let me back up. After the guy who was the chief instructor there at the time did, but he left. He moved on in his career. After that, no one knew.
This chief instructor at where? At
AeroGuard.
Area?
The chief instructor left, and he was the one who helped develop. Everybody who helped develop the Liberty program there had gone.
Yeah.
So during my multi-engine training, I had to tell them what was what. Like, no, this is what you got to do for me. No, this is what we got to do. This is who you got to talk to. So, and I would run into Liberty students that were coming in because they got a lot of Liberty students there, and they had a hard time helping them. So if there's anybody in the Phoenix area, whether you're at Westwind or AeroGuard, and you need help with the Liberty program, feel free to reach out to me. I can help you out. I know who to talk to at Liberty. I know which path to take. I'm more than willing to help because it sucks when you're just left out in the dust.
Yeah, you can send send questions at or Captain's Log Podcast Facebook. You can ask us questions there, or Instagram. You go on our website and you can send us a message on the website if you want, or a question. Where else can you can reach us? Oh, you can also leave a message or a comment on our YouTube page, Captain's Log. So you probably should go like those pages, by the way, and start promoting those pages, Mark, because they're all there.
Start perusing.
Yeah. Like us please follow us on our Captain's Log pages. Facebook at Captain's Log Podcast.
Yeah. Don't let it distract you.
Just missed up my our Instagram at Captain's Log Podcast, YouTube at Captain's Log Podcast. You can also go to www.captainslog.com and leave a message. We'll go to our email. But you can leave a comment, message us, DM. It's a new thing they say now. And we'll get back with you for any questions you have about flight training and aviation all around. Captain's Log!